Hi guys, hope everyone's well and welcome back to the Improvement Podcast. In episode 132, we're going to touch on making the most of the rest of 2023. So the date of recording this, it's just about November. It's the 26th of October as I speak. And we're at the point where motivation and effort starts to dwindle over the year. You've not really got summer just around the corner. It's cold, it's dark. So you're in that awkward period where if you've not been consistent recently, you think, oh, I'll start again next year, whereas that's probably the worst thing you can do, which I'll get to. So yeah, typically a time when consistency starts to slip and people wait on next year, which I think is the worst thing you can possibly do, because what you'll look like next year is a byproduct of your actions now. Building muscle or losing body fat, or more so building muscle, but losing body fat as well, and just how you look visually is all about delayed gratification. So the efforts that you'll put in now for the next 6 months will dictate how you'll look when you diet down. What I mean by that is if you perform a 6-month gaining phase, that's going to have a direct correlation with how you'll look at the end of your next dieting phase. So the work you put in now will determine how you look in the future. Like if you want to be really lean next year and have a 6-pack, then you purposely maybe putting on a bit of weight or just simply trying to push performance up at maintenance will affect your ability to reach that goal next year. It's not a case of, right, whenever you want to diet, you just flip the switch. The kind of progressions truly lie when you are pushing your body weight up, when you are being consistent while you're not dieting. Because if you're waiting until you get into a calorie deficit or to start a dieting phase to then being consistent, you're then basically waiting until you aren't in a good position to build muscle to then make sure everything's in a good spot. So it's counterproductive. You want to make sure everything's in a good spot before you start a dieting phase. And in a gaining phase, pretty much. Yes, there's maybe a time and place for a bit more flexibility, but if you want to maximise how much muscle you're building, you don't want to totally kind of let your foot off the gas. You should just kind of have a bit of flexibility here and there, but still kind of nail the basics, the kind of main variables, if that makes sense, maybe. Just maybe factoring in maybe a bit more meals out here and there, nights out, etc. That's the time to do so, of course, but for the most part, like, your actions will reflect your progress. So, like, why the lack of motivation? So, obviously, this time of year, it's cold and dark. People have no vision, goal, or much of a timeline in place on top of that. So, what's super important is making sure you've got one in place. And it's a perfect time to kind of run a gaining phase or a maintenance phase, as I kind of briefly touched on earlier. Reason being is, nobody probably wants to diet at this time of year, and they're probably wanting to diet towards the back end of, or the middle of next year, towards summer. So now's a good position to kind of set up the habit, set up the routine, and set up the behaviour so that when you are going into a dieting phase next, you're going to hit the ground running. When you are next going to diet, you're going to have a lot of progress to show for it. Because like I said, it doesn't make sense to wait until you're in a diet to then be consistent, because you don't progress when you're in that position. So if, let's say, you start a gaining phase now or start a maintenance phase, push your performance up in the gym, you're going to have more muscles to show for it. You're going to most likely be able to start your diet on higher food. So your actions now will reflect how you look next summer as a result of that. So yeah, the more muscle you can simply have, the better you'll look when removing body fat. And you'll end up leaner at the same body weight than if you didn't. And it will just overall be an easier dieting phase because you've already got the habits in place, like I said, so you can hit the ground running. Whereas if you're kind of waiting until the dieting phase and then you're getting a routine with your steps, then you're getting routine with your training, it's like you could have already had that established and not had that kind of resistance, or you didn't have to kind of pick up the momentum going into your diet. You would have already had the momentum kind of going, and all you have to do is kind of eat less or move a bit more and then you're off. So what I recommend you do is create a goal or a timeline. So upon this release, if you want to, you still have time to carry out a 6-week diet before Christmas and end it well before then. You'll have a good, until like Christmas and New Year, it will be on releasing this. It will be 8 weeks. So you still have time to do like a aggressive 6-week diet sort of thing. Alternatively, you've still got time to start a gaining phase or improve that maintenance. So give yourself a plan. I think a lot of people do something wrong, which is just they just kind of mindlessly kind of wonder, if that makes sense. They don't have a strategic plan in place. They just train and kind of like go through the motions outside the gym with. They don't have a set vision, a set goal. And that means they don't have any sense of urgency. And when you've got a sense of urgency, when you know, right, I've only got X amount of weeks to improve. Let's say you diet after New Year. Let's say you diet second week of January. Then you now know you've only got 7 weeks to build as much muscle, or sorry, not 7 weeks, 9 weeks to build as much muscle as you can, which is a short period of time. That's going to light a fire under your butt. As a result, help you progress more during this period. So have a plan. If that's starting a gaining phase or having a maintenance phase or doing a diet beforehand, whatever you're doing, just know why you're doing it, if that makes sense. Be intentional about how you're spending your time. I think that's something massive. And if you're wanting to do a diet beforehand, give yourself a rough rate of loss you want to kind of aim for. If that's kind of 1% of your body weight weekly, which is kind of a good place to be. Give yourself an expenditure and food goal. If you're not kind of losing enough, increase your expenditure or decrease your food, and then basically repeat that process when your weight stalls and just kind of carry out that dieting phase and make sure you get that appropriate rate of loss that you want. And obviously, if you want to increase your expenditure or decrease your food, pick which one that you can adhere to best. And if you are planning a gaining phase, which I believe most people will probably want to be doing at this time, I don't think a lot of people are going to, although you do have time to do so for sure, I don't think a lot of people are going to be dieting now, which is completely fine and normal, to be fair. With my clients, I'm planning on wrapping diets up before or start of December, mid-December, just so they've got flexibility around that period. And if you're planning a gaining phase, have consistency in place with your nutrition, have a protein goal, a calorie goal, have consistency with your expenditure if you want, because that will also affect rate of gain. But if you aren't kind of nailing your training at the moment, then don't worry about that for now. And if you're wanting to carry out a gaining phase, aim for a 0.25 to 0.5 kilos rate of gain a week, or in other words, 0.5 to 1 pound a week rate of gain. You could go even slower, even faster, it depends where you're at. Wouldn't recommend going much faster, to be fair, because you'll just gain more body fat without much kind of reward in terms of building more muscle tissue. And just make sure you're prioritising performance. So as long as performance is driven up, you're going to be making improvements, really, because that's kind of why we eat more. It does put us in a better position to build muscle, but also we eat more food to push body weight up, to push performance up as well. So have a plan if you're looking to gain. And just a good thing to think about is, what weight are you wanting to be? If you've dieted before in the past, let's say you got to 70 kilos and you were happy with your body composition. Then if you're looking to gain, then bear in mind, right, if you gain to 80, then you've got 10 kilos of weight to pull off. So you might want to only gain to 76 if you want to only take a stone of body weight off, and that's all you're comfortable doing. But just have a plan and structure in place so that you can be strategic about it. And like I said, this is going to give you a massive sense of urgency and motivation, because people are usually not motivated because, well, first of all, it's normal. I don't expect people to be motivated all the time, and you shouldn't rely on just being motivated all the time. But people aren't motivated because they don't have that plan and vision mapped out in front of them. They don't know how they're going to work towards that long-term goal. They can't see it. Whereas if you know, right, if I do this and that, then it kind of, your long-term goal soon becomes a short-term goal, because you can see it pan out. You can see each phase how long it will last, which will ultimately make it fly by, in my opinion. So yeah, make sure you've got a plan in place if you're looking to gain. And if you're looking to kind of set a maintenance in, you can do that as well. But just make sure you're getting the consistency in place with your training, and maybe outside the gym, just developing habits. Even if you're not tracking calories, even if you're not looking to maybe do a purposeful diet or gaining phase, still if you're looking to maybe diet in the future or just improve or just be better or feel better, then you can still put good habits in place, like making sure you're eating protein with each meal, making sure you're drinking enough water throughout the day, making sure you're salting your meals for hydration, making sure you're eating your 5 a day. Like, these things you can put in place, which will affect how easy it will be when you start your next diet, which will affect your training and how you feel, and just generally your overall health and well-being. And with your training, if you don't already, have a set training split and structure to follow. Don't worry about it being perfect, just have something, and then you can kind of adjust if you see the need to adjust it. A good split to be on is like an upper-lower split, which you can find a template for in my Instagram bio if you're looking for one, or my link tree, which will be in the description of this video. I've also got videos on, or I've also got different episodes on how you kind of set up a push session, a pull session, a leg session, an upper session, a lower session. So have a scroll down, you'll find them there for every single body part pretty much. But have a training split you can stick to that suits your needs, suits what body parts you want to bring up, and stick to that consistently over time and focus on just progressing your lifts as much as you can. And basically this is what I'd say is the improvement season. Like a gaining phase, that's the season where you improve, that's the time where you improve. So this year's far from over, you can still achieve a lot. So make a head start on your New Year's goals. Don't wait until New Year's to start going after them and trying to reach them, if that makes sense. Because there's so much progress you can make during this time. And like I said, even if you're not dieting, the consistency that you have right now will reflect how easy it is to reach your goals. For example, if you train really consistently, progress your lifts a lot, and have a good routine with the gym, then by the time it reaches New Year, you're going to have built some muscle mass. So even if you're the exact same weight, you're going to be leaner at that body weight. You're maybe going to see visual improvements at that body weight. Even if you don't see a ton, you're going to have some more muscle under there to show for it next time you diet down again. So make a head start on your New Year's goals. If you need any help doing so, reach out. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. So if you do have any questions, drop them in the description of the YouTube video, or not the description, sorry, in the comments of the YouTube video, or just message me on Instagram or any other platform you follow me on, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions. And if you do want the help and accountability, then reach out for my coaching service. Reason being is, if you are wanting to maybe carry out a dieting phase next year, then feel free to reach out now. Reason being is that will give me plenty of time to get you set up and get you started. I'll be able to get a timeline in place, and also we'll be able to maybe get started earlier and get the necessary habits and structure in place, so that when it comes to the new year, your dieting phase will be easier and it will go better. Even if your diet is in summer, if you don't kind of commit time to a gaining phase before dieting down, then you're not going to have a lot of muscle to show for it. So bear that in mind. If you want to kind of have a lot of muscle to show for it, or have a decent bit of muscle to reveal, then don't wait until starting to diet to weight train or to take the gym seriously. You want to spend time at maintenance if your body fat's already high, or spend time maybe gaining if your body fat's low, if you want a good amount of muscle to reveal next time you do your dieting phase. So reach out if you need the help. I'm currently taking on online coaching clients. If you did enjoy the video, feel free to share it on your Instagram story, tag me in it so I can thank you for watching or listening, and feel free to leave any comments, leave a rating and review. I greatly appreciate everyone's support in the podcast. And of course, let me know if you've got any questions that I can cover in the next Q&A, or any questions you just want me to cover via DM. Greatly appreciate everyone's support, and have a great rest of your day.